That doesn't make any sense. How can 15 minutes have passed? They're still having this conversation right now. So what they'll do is maybe they'll stop the clock and they'll let it slowly go forward. You know what I mean? So those are the types of continuity issues, right? The scene has to be continuous. It has to make sense, right? So let's see. The camera teams log technical notes. When you log something, you're writing it down. Or you're recording something. And here, recording something means that you're saying, okay, at 4:23 p.m. on the 7th day of shooting, cameras 6 and 22 had technical issues. Think about that statement, right? That is something that tells you that in the first few days of filming, we're having camera issues. So then the producer might have to be like, okay, we have to order replacement cameras. These cameras aren't working anymore, right? So these are technical issues, problems that happen on the set. Someone has to log it. Someone has to record it so that it can be reported back, so that someone can go to the producer and say, listen, sir, we had such X, Y, and Z. These are the problems that we had. These are the 3 different problems that we had. Then the producer and the budget manager and all these, the assistant director, it's their job to fix the problem, right? But they have to get that information first, right? So let's see. And then, so who read last time? It was Pedro, right? So Minsu, you're next.
At the end of the day, the director approves the next day's sharing schedule, and a daily progress report is sent to the production office. This includes the report sheet from continuity, sound and camera teams. Of course, these are distributed to the cast and crew to tell them when and where to turn up the next sharing day. Later on, the director, producer, other department heads, and sometimes the cast may gather to watch that they were yesterday's today's called diaries, and read their work.
Read the second paragraph as well, please.
With work days, so from resting 14 or 18 hours in remote locations, film production tends to create a team spirit. When the entire film is in the can or in the completion of the production phase, it's customary for the production office to arrange a rep party to thank the cast and crew for their
efforts. Right. Good. Okay. So over here, basically, this is once again saying the director approves. When you approve the shooting schedule, right, you're basically saying, yeah, this is going to be our schedule. Everyone show up at 6 o'clock in the morning. We're going to shoot till 10. Everyone breaks for half an hour. We continue. He puts forward the schedule, right? And the daily progress report. So you know, like all the continuity issues, technical issues, that report every day has to be sent to the producer's office, right? So that they can fix all the problems that might be happening. And call sheets are distributed to the cast and crew, so that gives everyone their routine, right? Actors show up at 2 p.m. Construction show up at 8 a.m. Sound show up at 9 a.m., right? Costume people show up at 12 p.m., something like that, depending on when they're needed, right? And then what they're saying is they gathered that the footage is basically the filming that was done on that day, footage, right? And then with workdays often lasting 14 or 18 hours in remote locations. Remote, in this sense, do you guys understand what it means?
Sounds right.
Remote means far away. Remote basically means like far away locations. Like the Lord of the Rings movies, right? They were filmed in New Zealand. But they were filmed in farmland, like hundreds of miles away from big cities or anything, right? So all of the only friends you have are your film, all the film crew, right? All the actors, the film people together, right? So it creates a team spirit. Everyone feels like, hey, we're all here, we're the only ones here. We're all this part of the same team. When the entire film is in the can, this is just an expression, right? In the can. In the can. It means basically it's complete. It's like when you're creating like a canned good, right? When the fruit is placed in the can and the can is sealed, it's in the can. That means it's complete, basically, right? It's just an expression that they're using over here. The completion of the production stage, it is customary. Customary just comes from like, it is our custom in Korea and Japan. It's our custom that every day after work we have dinner with our coworkers, or we have drinks with our coworkers, right? That's custom. So customary is the act of carrying out a custom. And in this case, at the end of the filming, right, it's the custom to do a big party for just the crew, right? Everyone just sits there, because think about it. You've spent the last 6 months, every single day, 14 to 18 hours with these people. They basically become your closest friend. Yeah, sure.
What the carrying?
Is the act of carrying out. Carrying out a custom, right? Doing a custom, right? Essentially. It's our custom that, you know what, at the end of, it's like at the end of a big project at work, right? Everybody be like, everybody, let's go grab drinks, right? At the end of class with your friends from students, with your fellow students, it might be customary to go have dinner with your friends, right? So that's like the customary is basically the act of carrying out a custom, doing a custom, right? All right, so we're at the last piece. Why don't we read this together, guys? So Shin, if you can start us off on post-production, please.
Post-production. Here the video film is assembled by the video film editor. Modern use of video in the filmmaking process has resulted in 2 methods. One using entirely film and the other using a mixture of film and video. This is the final stage where the film is released to cinemas or occasionally to consumer media, DVD, VCD, VHS, Blu-ray, or direct download from a provider. The film is duplicated as required for distribution to cinemas. Press kits, posters, and other advertising materials are published, and the film is advertised and promoted.
Okay. And so over here, once again, this is post-production is really, all the filming is done, right? And what you're doing is, if you're just basically putting the film together, you're putting the finishing touches, right, on the film. And what they're saying is that the film is released to cinemas or occasionally to consumer media. Consumer media usually happens afterwards. In the beginning, a film was released to theaters, right? And 6 months after the theatrical release, is basically it's put into like media, right? And then press kits, posters, advertising materials. So let's go back to product development. Marketing happens when you're ready to release the product, right? Or when you're in the final stages and you're just mass producing. So this is kind of like post-production. When you're mass producing something, the prototyping phase is over. We're finished with testing. This is what the sweater is going to look like. This is what it's going to feel like. This is our final version. So we're going to make 20,000 of these, and we're going to start putting posters on. New sweater coming out, online ads and everything like that. So this is when the marketing happens, right? Pedro, would you read the final paragraph, please?
Film distributors usually release a film with a lunch party, press releases, interviews with the press preview screening, and film festival screening. Most films have a website. The film plays at selected cinemas, and the DVD typically is released a few months later. Distribution rights for the film and the DVD are also usually sold for worldwide distribution. The distributor and the production company share profits.
Okay. So this is, once again, this is all the stuff that you guys have seen. When a big movie is coming out, there's a red carpet event where all the celebrities come and they go to the premiere, right? The very first night where it's going to be shown, right? They go to the premiere in Hollywood or something like that for a big picture, right? And then, what they're saying is basically all the ways that, the press usually, they get to do preview screenings. So 1 week maybe before the actual theatrical wide release, where it's 3,000 theaters all over the country maybe it's going to be released, the press and special film critics, they get a chance to do an advanced screening. So before everyone sees it, they go in, they watch the film, and then they'll write an editorial about it, right? I gave this film 4.5 stars out of 5. I thought the acting was amazing. I thought the filmmaking was brilliant. The music was beautiful. They'll write maybe someone will say, I'll give it 3 stars out of 5. I thought the acting wasn't so good, but the film was very beautifully shot. I like the locations a lot. So then people read those, and then they're going to go watch the movie 1 week later or 2 weeks later, the actual. Like next week, Denzel Washington, who's right over here in Malcolm X's poster, he's like one of my favorite actors. So he has a movie that's coming out next week, right? So the press has actually already seen it. And they're already writing reviews for the movie and everything like that, right?